Hello, everybody. We're back with another two chapters of Eerie Elementary. So, if you've been following along with us and listening to the story and doing the journal entries, you'll know that we left off last week learning about how Sam has encountered some weird things happening at the school. The school's been coming to understand what's happening yet. He's supposed to be in a play with his friends at school. He told his friends what had happened to him at school, and no one really believes him. His mom never really believed him as far as why he was late coming home that day. It appears the only person that really understands what's happening at the school is the school custodian, Mr. Nakobe. So that's kind of where we left off last time. Okay, so today's chapter 8, is called Into the Darkness. As soon as the bell rang for recess, Sam went looking for Mr. Nakobe. He spotted him outside the janitor's closet. Sam watched Mr. Nakobe open the closet door. Mr. Nakobe looked both ways down the hall, like he was afraid he was being watched. Then, very slowly, the old man reached into the dark closet. He grabbed hold of a dim, swinging light bulb. Mr. Nakobe tugged twice on the light bulb. Broom! There was a low rumbling noise as the rear wall of the closet began to move. A secret door, Sam thought. Mr. Nakobe stepped through. Sam swallowed. Sweat was pouring off his brow. He needed to know the truth about Eerie Elementary. This was his chance. Sam darted across the hall. He closed the closet door behind him, then he leapt through the secret doorway. So Sam found this secret little passageway at his school. It's pretty brave. I don't think I'd go through that secret door. Sam found himself in a large room with punching bags, pieces of old lockers, and school chairs with 3 legs. The room was dark. It smelled wet. Sam Graves, Mr. Nakobe said. I've been waiting for... Sam cut him off. What happened last night, and how is everything back to normal today? I know I didn't imagine all that stuff, Mr. Nakobe said. You imagine nothing. Place your hand against the wall, Sam, and focus. Sam frowned. You're nuts. Do you want to know the truth or not? Mr. Nakobe said. Sam sighed, then placed his palm against the cool brick wall. The room grew quiet. Then he heard it, the soft sound of air blowing, and he felt it. The wall was gently swaying. It was the school. The school was breathing. Well, that's creepy. Sam backed away from the wall. Whoa, what's happening? He stuttered. Mr. Nakobe walked toward Sam. As his face passed through the shadows, he looked almost inhuman. Eerie Elementary is alive, Mr. Nakobe said. Sam shook his head. That can't be. That's impossible. Mr. Nakobe continued. This school is a living, breathing thing. It is a beast, a monster, and there's only one person who can keep its students safe. Who? Sam asked softly. Mr. Nakobe stooped down until he was face to face with Sam. You, Sam Graves, the hall monitor. All right, chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Hero. So it's hero with a question mark. In a strange hidden room, this man was telling Sam that the school was alive and that he was supposed to keep everyone safe. He couldn't believe it. I, too, was a hall monitor, said Mr. Nakobe. Eerie Elementary's first hall monitor. And since then, I have been here to fight the school and protect the students. But now I am old and weak, and the school knows it. The school knows that now is the time to strike. It is planning something big. Sam collapsed in a chair. There were goosebumps all over his body. But how can the school be alive? I don't understand. The source of the school's power is a mystery, Mr. Nakobe said. But I know this. It is evil. It feeds on students. It has not been fed in a long time. It is hungry. Sam's heart was pounding. Mr. Nakobe continued, as hall monitor, you have the ability to sense the school, to see and feel and hear what others cannot. But you must be careful, because the school can sense you too. It has attacked you twice already. It knows you are its enemy. Sam gulped. Mr. Nakobe said softly, you must be our hero now, Sam Graves. Do I have it in me? Sam wondered. All right, so Sam is going to have to be a hero whether he wants to or not. Sam thought about the quicksand and the tree and the lockers. What if that had happened to Lucy or Antonio? The school could have eaten them, and if the school is planning something big, then my friends are in danger. Sam turned to Mr. Nakobe and said, "Okay, I'll do what I must." Mr. Nakobe smiled. "Good. So now what?" asked Sam. "Now you begin your training," said Mr. Nakobe. He yanked on a filthy white sheet, uncovering what looked to be a large metal monster. Then he walked back out through the secret door, leaving Sam all alone, or so he thought. Well, that's pretty scary. Mr. Nakobe's going to leave Sam with some creepy monster underneath the sheet. And we are going to stop there. Chapter 10 is called The Machine, and there's the picture. So we'll see what happens with that tomorrow. All right, so today we're going to have another journal entry. So I'm going to show you my screen. All right, so today's journal entry looks like this. So once again, we're going to always write today's date at the very top of your journal page. Once again, you should be keeping all these journal entries in the same notebook and not skipping pages, preferably using both sides of the page so we can fit a lot of stuff in that journal. And every time we do a journal, you're going to write today's date up at the very top and then write the title in the middle, like on the first line. So the title, once again, is Eerie Elementary, Chapter 8 and 9. All right, so last week on Friday, you guys watched a Brain Pop video about conflict resolution. Conflict resolution was all about anytime you have an argument or maybe like kind of a fight with a family member or a friend or someone close to you and you just don't agree with them, that's a conflict. So a conflict happens to all of us. And the first question on today's journal says, what is a conflict in this story? So what's a conflict that's happening in the book Eerie Elementary? There's a few different conflicts if you think about it. So what is one conflict in this story? The second question is, if you were Sam Graves, how would you try to resolve this conflict? So for every conflict that we have, we need to find the best way to resolve it, to fix it, so both people can get along in the future, right? So I have 2 kids. My daughter is 3, my son is 7, and unfortunately they have conflicts all the time. So we have to, my wife and I have to figure out, how to help them resolve their conflicts and how to get along so they aren't constantly fighting each other. So the second question just says, whatever conflict you chose, if you were Sam Graves, how would you resolve it? So how would you fix the problem that is happening with Sam? Okay, so like always, write 3 to 5 sentences. Make sure you're using proper sentence structure, meaning capital letter at the beginning, spaces in between, periods at the end. If you want to ask your parents or grandparents how to spell words, that's okay, but try to sound out words the best you can. If you spell them wrong, it's okay. But something that we do need to work on is capital letters at the beginning. Sam or any other name should be capitalized. Make sure you have nice spaces, and you're writing in your neatest, nicest handwriting with periods at the end. Okay? And that is today's journal. Like I've said before, make sure you're keeping track of that journal, so when we get to come back to school, you can bring that back and I can take a look at it. Okay? So hopefully we can come back to school soon. All right. That is the next 2 chapters today. We will read the next 2 tomorrow. Have a good day, guys. Bye.